I'm Jason Flynn. I'm out in Santa Cruz, California. So most people know either San Francisco or LA, and they think those are like the two parts of California. And you're like, kind of right. And we're just south of San Francisco, like 2 hours south, little beach town. It's right outside of Silicon Valley, which means I turn into a big old tech nerd. And that's why I'm talking about AI and really how we can use it in real estate in order to, as we titled this one, work harder, or sorry, work smarter, not harder. And you work harder too, but that's way less fun because AI is one of those things where it's like it's a fun catchphrase, and we hear it all over the media and all over social media. It's a fun catchphrase. Everyone's building it in, saying, "Oh, this is AI," even though it's not really AI. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But it really is something that this is going to transform businesses in every single industry. And we'll talk about how it will work in real estate. It may not be the doom and gloom that there are some industries that they are in. I don't want to say deep trouble. It's only deep trouble if they don't start pivoting their businesses to start adopting AI. It's kind of like when people way back in the day were like, "Oh, the internet's a fad." The internet stayed, it turns out, and then now the internet gave birth to this thing called AI, and it's getting real crazy and fun. So here's a quick thing about me. It's real simple. If people always ask, I call, text, email. Find me on social media. I'm at Jason the Flynn. That's Facebook, Instagram. You can try LinkedIn, but my LinkedIn messages, like most people, it's so crowded. I hate it. But you can find me, especially on Instagram, at Jason the Flynn, basically anywhere. Like most realtors, you type in my name, I'm easy to find. Just you'll find me. There's a few of us, but you'll know which one's me. So what we're going to talk about today is why you should care about AI and why specifically you should care about AI right now. And then actually talk about like what is AI and what isn't AI. And that's what I was alluding to. There's a lot of people using the word AI, even if what they're developing has nothing to do with it. We're going to go through what my favorite tools are and uses for them specifically in real estate. So this is, there's a lot of fun things we can do with like making images and making videos. And there's a lot of fun comical things we could do. Like if everybody saw a couple weeks ago, everyone and their mother suddenly turned themselves into action figures, right? Yeah, there's fun stuff we can do with that, but there's also some really specific things in real estate we can do to make our lives a little bit easier. And then we'll talk about a perfect tech stack because the questions I get all the time are really where do I start? Which ones are worth the money? Which ones aren't worth the money? And then at the end, we're going to fly through a little thing I call talking to robots. And it's really just how you end up interacting. There's a lot of these AIs, they work like chatbots, and the talking to robots part, that's about like how do we actually get better results from the different AIs? Because you'll see some people be like, this is incredible. I have this incredible tool, and then you'll try it and you're like, this was terrible. It didn't work. And it's likely because of how you're communicating with it. And so, like I said, talking to robots. You can drop questions in the chat. Shelby's going to watch it for me so that she can pop in at the right times and ask them because I get distracted very easy. And we want to at least try to stay on topic. I have a whole thing at the end where you can ask questions if you want to wait there as well. Totally up to you. So, why you should care right now. And this has to do with, let me check the next slide. This is one of my favorite quotes, and I don't even know who it's attributed to at this point because I've heard it from Tom Ferry, Gary Keller, Jason Pantana. Everybody is now saying this specifically about real estate, that agents likely aren't going to be replaced by AI, but they could be replaced by other agents that start adopting AI. I saw a thing last night. I think it's a little bit older, but I saw it last night that it's the CEO of Fiverr, the one of the fun places to go get some cheap marketing or like cheap tasks done through Fiverr. The CEO of Fiverr put out a thing for all of his employees saying, if you don't adopt AI, you're going to get replaced. And he's like, I'm not threatening your job. I'm just saying that the easy tasks are now going to be taken over by AI. The medium tasks are like now your easy tasks, and the hard tasks are now the medium tasks, and the impossible tasks are now just hard, right? And so it's how do we actually start using this in our business And even if you're not ready to dive in and actually use some of these tools in your business, like we saw some people about a year ago, they unleashed something into the world, an AI into the world that was circle dialing for them, and it went terribly. Like, okay, maybe you don't want to actually hand off your clients to an AI chatbot right now. That's cool. But you do want to at least start learning these things. So what we're going to do is kind of bigger concepts of like, here's some examples of how you can use these tools in your business. So at least then in like 3 more months, maybe you start feeling comfortable with one, you've at least chatted with one, you've had little conversations with it here and there. So that's what we're kind of doing with this class today. So what if we can save you both time and money? Because right now, either you're using technology and technology costs money, or you're hiring people and hiring people costs a lot of money. So what if we could start paying you or an assistant or somebody on your team 5 to 10 minutes of every task that they do, or a bunch of the tasks that they do, 10 to 15 times a day? Like, how does that actually stack up? And I didn't do the math. I forgot to. I meant to do the math right there to say this is how many hours you would end up saving, and I didn't, and that's fine. But it's like, what if we could start saving a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there, and how much does that add up to creating more time so that then you can go better serve your clients? And the great news is with a lot of these tools, especially the ones we're talking about today, they're somewhere from free to $10 to $50 a month, somewhere in there. So we're not talking about a massive investment. It can add up fast. Like if you go get 20 tools at $20 a month, it's going to add up, but it's still a lot cheaper than hiring a person for sure. And for the person that's thinking, I already have an assistant, I already have a VA, I already have a marketing person, I already have that. Great, then we can be educating them in these tools so that they can either use them themselves, or like with one of our agents in the office, we brought in marketing services that then comes off that admin's plate. The marketing services are now taken care of. Now, if they're using AI to streamline some things, that comes off of their plate. All of a sudden, like if you have a virtual assistant at $1,500 or $2,000 a month, and you can make them more efficient, your money is just going much further faster. And we like saving money and time. Now, things to understand is that this is changing incredibly rapidly. I basically rewrote all the slides for this because I taught this a few months ago and it's completely changed. So I rewrote a whole bunch of the slides. I've done one before where I taught a class on Wednesday. I was then teaching a class the next day. I was driving to another market center, I was teaching the next day. Something changed overnight and I changed a good chunk of slides. And so that's why we are going to get into some specifics, but this is kind of more about core concepts and ideas to build the foundation of this is where this could end up going in the future. But at the same time, this isn't all just theory. Everything we're going to talk about is 100% usable right now and things that you could do. So it's kind of for two groups of people. Either the person that's like, no, I want to start doing this right now. Great, this is for you. And if it's, ooh, I'm just dipping my toes in the water, I think I need to start learning about this. Great, this is for you. And again, it's really crazy how fast things are moving. So what is AI anyways? And the most basic way, like not even trying to read it off the slide, the most basic way to explain it is it's a piece of software that starts to learn human behavior and mimic human behavior. And so like the base programs that you'll be purchasing or trying for, there's a lot of free trials. The When you use it at its base, it's like it's been programmed a certain way to understand a certain thing, like an image creator. It's been learned or it's been taught a certain way by the company, but then as you start to use it, it starts to adapt to your user behavior and how you need it to perform. So Shelby and I were talking before about Chat GPT is a big famous one. It's kind of the main one a lot of people start with. If I go into my Chat GPT and ask it questions, and my wife has her own account and she asks hers questions, we get completely different responses. So then if I switch seats with her, and like the other day, just her laptop was there and I had a question, I put it in there, I got this sarcastic, whimsical answer that was like, ha ha, ha, you've unlocked the great mysteries of life, because that's how she talks to it. I don't know. Mine's very direct. It's like, here's your answer. It's like, thank you. And so that's what I mean by it mimics human behavior. And a lot of these, because we use like a an English chat interaction with it, it ends up kind of communicating back with us in that way. And so the main one, ChatGPT, it started as this chat bot basically, but now it's integrated into everything. Your phone has it integrated in it. Every app, it feels like, has some sort of AI thing in it. If you go on Facebook now and just type in a search, it starts trying to give you AI suggestions. So it's really plugged into everything, and it can do almost everything. And you'll see as we kind of talk about that, we can do photo creation, we can do video editing, we can have it as a personal assistant. We're getting into the point where it will even like call a restaurant and book times for you, or call a salon and book hair times for you. Like it's getting pretty wild. But if you think of it as your assistant that happens to be a computer, that's probably the best way to think about it. Now, what it's not, as of right now, and this is again rapidly changing, like when you're using your phone and you say, hey, and then you use either Siri, Alexa, whatever, and you ask it, like set a timer for 10 minutes, that's not AI. That's just kind of a robot. It's just a chatbot. That is changing quite a bit. Both Apple and Google are starting to integrate like actual AI features in there where it can understand more complex tasks. Where as soon as it becomes able to do something like, hey, show me the last 3 emails about this class I'm teaching on Wednesday, and it can pull that, that's what we mean by AI versus just, oh, I can go do this one simple task. And this is where, especially in real estate, you got to watch out. Like if you go to like a Keller Williams conference, Tom Ferry conference, any of those, and you go in exhibit hall, everyone will tell you, they're like, we use AI to get you the seller data, where all they're doing is like pulling tax records and saying, here's a list of people that sold 7 years ago. Like any of us can do that. And a lot of people are kind of slapping the AI logo on it or the AI moniker on it. But this is like where we're saying, no, it actually used, 2,000 points of data, took all this information and said, here's a list of people that really might want to sell their house. That's much more what AI is. And then when I say beware of copycat products, I just simply mean you might go on to like the Apple App Store to download ChatGPT and you find something that looks like their logo, but it's actually called like ChatGTP. And you're now giving your information to not the right company. Just be careful of that. Like there's a lot of little copycats and things, but if you kind of stick to the core big companies, it's pretty easy to not accidentally give somebody your information. Okay, my favorite uses today, and so this is where we'll go through a handful of examples of things you can do right now as a real estate agent and which ones to use. So you're not going to be able to read the screen. That's not the point. But with ChatGPT, there's one called ChatGPT Plus. This is about $20 a month. This is the kind of all-in-one go-to, the first one that really made the headlines. It was in November of 2023 is when it really first started coming out and saying like, oh, okay, this is what this new AI thing is. And the reason I use these images is like on the left, like if you have it on your phone, it's just like a little chat window, just like it is like if you're texting somebody. And then on the right, it's just an example of blue is me, purple is Chat GPT, and we're just having a conversation. And so it's just like having an assistant that can kind of do anything and everything. And some examples of that, like this is one where we needed to write a listing description on like a really strange property or a very unique property. And I highlighted on here that we had said it had 5 bedrooms that had been divided into multiple living units. And something that it wrote for us, this gave us way too long of a response. And so we really trimmed this down. But one of the things that wrote for us was, with a total of 5 bedrooms, this dwelling offers an excellent opportunity for housing farm managers or generating additional rental income. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know why I wouldn't have written that, but my listing descriptions are like, welcome to 123 Main Street. Like they're not great. So we put that line there in our listing description. And literally the first day, somebody drove by, saw the sign, scanned the QR code, saw the listing, read that sentence, and called us and said, I help immigrants get their visas, and I need a place to house them legally until then. And this has all these bedrooms and a farm that they can work on. I want to buy it. He bought it. Like it was literally, he bought it that, like it was on the market for one day. It took us a few days to work out his financing and we were done. And it was that because this gave him the idea of this is how you do it. Or this is how you would use this property. And again, our description would have been more like that top paragraph. 20 acres or 32 acres, 20 acres farmable, blah, 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 just like facts, where this kind of gave it a little bit more creativity and an idea. Another neat way to use it is, if you're a bit like me, you take a lot of notes during trainings. Like I like handwriting notes. There's all the benefits of like creates a literal neural pathway to your brain that you memorize better. But then what happens is I have this exact notebook from like over a year ago crammed into the bottom of my backpack, and I never see those notes again. So literally all I have to do is take a picture of that note at the end of the training, take a picture of the note, say convert this image into text, and on the right is what I got back. And it gives me the bolded subjects. Even this one doesn't have the example, but sometimes when I draw those arrows, it puts in arrows, or it'll put in shapes. If I draw in a shape, it'll do simple things like that. And it formats it into a thing where I can just copy and paste this into my notes app, label it or label that note, doing luxury the Ritz-Carlton way with Brady Sandall. Then all of a sudden, I now have something searchable that I can use later on. And like, if you're that person that hates typing notes at events or trainings, this is huge. Like, this makes it so easy, because then all of a sudden I start, and when we talk about one called the Notebook LM coming up later, we can start then taking all this data, dropping it into our own folder that our AI can then learn from. And so then you say, like, give me a summary of everything I learned this year. Or, hey, remind me, what did Brady say about the Ritz-Carlton? And it'll give you a summary of it, right? So we're being able to take the physical world and convert it into digital, and then use that for our own fruition. Okay, image creation. You might think I never need to create images, but one of my favorite examples of this is like if you do a website and you have blogs or even just a lot of social media posts, using somebody's photo that happens to be copyrighted is going to get you in a lot of trouble, and you won't even know that it's copyrighted. You'll use it, and then these lawyers have these little crawlers. It's a service that goes around looking for copyrighted photos, and then you get a nice little note in the mail saying, hey, send us $2,500 or we're going to sue you. And then you talk to your attorney and they're like, yeah, give them $2,500. And then you're out $2,500. But what if you could do this and say, like, this was a real example. I needed a photo for a blog post. I said, need a mid-century modern style apartment overlooking the ocean, cluttered with books and plants. And it generated this image from scratch. It's not like it went to the internet to find an image. It literally like painted this photo. And you won't be able to tell, because I don't think, yeah, it's not gonna let me zoom in. Like when you get real detailed in there, like the words are all jumbled up, or I think down here, it's like down in this section here, it's like sitting weird on the carpet, or like something's missing a leg. This is where you see examples of people sometimes like has a real hard time with hands, and so hands always look messed up. But we're now really starting to see, especially with ChatGPT 4.0 or the newest one, it is the image creation in it is so good, it's getting very difficult to tell the difference between reality and AI. And that'll be a problem that we're not going to talk about because we're only being positive today. That'll be a problem later on down the road. But when you need an image quickly for something, especially social media posts, it will take about 30 seconds for you to get an image, copyright free. You just copy it, paste it into Instagram, and you're good to go. This is another way to use the image creation. This is literally the office I'm standing in right now. On the left is the old office that we needed to reimagine because we're going to tear out all the furniture and turn it into like a podcast studio. And so, or a content creation studio. But I just needed an idea in order to show someone like the vision for it. I took the photo on the left, like I literally just took that out of my phone, put it into ChatGPT, and I said, take this image and turn it into a content or a podcast studio. It gave me kind of a weird result. So I just kind of had a conversation with it. So, well, now do this, now this. Like, I didn't like the carpet it had or something like that. And so I just tweaked it a little bit. And then I eventually got the result on the right. And you can tell it looks like it's not exactly like like the office here. You can see it's not quite the same, but it gives a good enough idea. And I couldn't find the example, but like I had a good one of like our main lobby area has like a lot of windows and we want to put some plants. So we took a picture of it and we said, fill this room with plants. And it redrew the room for us. It looks just like the photo, but it's full of plants. So we can kind of do concepts and visualizations. And like, so how could you use this with a seller with not even having to, it takes 5 minutes to do this kind of a thing where you don't have to bring in a stager yet, right? Like if you're just trying to help your your seller understand what could the house look like if they did these repairs, or maybe you're with a buyer and you're in a big vacant house and they didn't stage it, you could literally take a photo of it and say, put furniture in this room, have a little conversation with it to get at least a rough idea, because people have a hard time imagining what a space can look like, right? And so like I said, this is a $20 a month program, and this takes 5 minutes and just plain English to do. This is all still just all of these examples. So like this one, all of these examples, this is all just within ChatGPT. And so then examples that I didn't have in here, just off the top of my head, there's so many different things you can do, but it's like one time we took all the MLS data for a certain zip code and we put it all in there and we said, okay, here's all the county data. So here's all the seller info, or, like when was the last transaction? How much did it sell for? What's the size of the property? All these things, like the county data. And then we put in the MLS data for 5 years. And we said, based off of properties that sell faster, sell for more than the asking price, things like that, which properties in this zip code are most likely to be highly desirable by buyers? And so instead of just saying, oh, this property is listed, it last sold 7 years ago, blah, 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 it now starts to give us a little bit more insight that then we can go talk to those owners and say, look, your house, like we ran a study and your house actually came up as one that's most likely to sell fast and for more dollars. Have you ever thought about selling your home? And so all of a sudden, like we can do deep data analysis. There's so many things we could do with ChatGPT that like I could only give you 4 examples right now. But ChatGPT is that's the place to start, and we'll talk more about that. Then we get into, this is my other favorite one if you are doing anything with content with video. I use this one almost every day at this point. That what you do is you shoot a video, whether you're just shooting like a short video, like like a Instagram reel kind of video that's maybe when you initially shoot it, it's 4 or 5 minutes long, and then you upload it into Opus Clip, or I've done it with a 2 hour long like podcast style video where we interviewed agents, husband and wife couple that just crushes in their business. We did like a podcast style interview with them and we uploaded it. And what it does is two different things. Is one, it lets you then edit by using text editing. So like you can see in this, don't worry about the words themselves. I get it, it's kind of small to see. But what you could do is on the left, it generates the transcript of what Vanessa was saying on the right, and it creates captions, and that's cool. But then what we can go through is be like, okay, well, she made it halfway through this sentence, then stuttered, or, and then she redid the sentence. We just highlight the text that we want to delete, hit delete, and it goes away. And it just automatically deletes that entire part of that clip. So we can go through and we can actually change. It's like simple video editing based off of the words themselves. So basically, by the time the left side is lined up with the words we want, the video is then lined up with it as well. If you've ever been afraid of doing video because of the editing part, and that's most people, the reason they'll go like shoot a quick video, but then they won't post it because they're afraid of, did I said the wrong thing or I stumbled over a word? This will help you do that. It can automatically cut out ums and ahs. If you were talking and then you paused and you like pause for a second, you can kind of see there's one down here. It says 0.5 seconds kind of toward the bottom there. You can just say remove all the pauses. It removes all the pauses. So then you just go grab the clips you want and you delete them. It's incredibly simple. When you do a longer version, like where I did the interview with 2 people and we put that one in there, it actually then generated for us 30 different short form clips that then we could just take those clips and put them on social media. And so then we said, like, Okay, here's a 1 minute video. If you want to see the whole hour-long video, click here. Right. And so it figured out what were the viral clips based off of the things that they were saying. And I was telling Shelby beforehand, like, I wish I could just walk you through this one and show you how it works, but I can't because you know how technology works. Like, we will die. Like, I'll get halfway through it and it'll crash. Um, let's see. The Oh, you can add captions, which you want captions on your videos. If you're doing short form video, you absolutely want captions. It will fix audio. So like if you're outside of a property talking about it and a garbage truck drives by, it'll delete the garbage truck audio. Like it knows human voice and it can erase everything. Or if the wind's blowing, it can try to extract your voice out of there, remove background noise. You can add music, so many different things. And again, I think I have the price of this one at the end. I want to say it's $30 a month. It's easy. Now, HeyGen goes a whole different route. This one goes like an entirely different way of video. And I have a neat example that you'll have to I'll show you in a minute. You'll have to write down and go look it up because, again, I'm not going to do live demos. It gets scary. But basically, you create what we call an AI avatar. So you would shoot a video where it's just you sitting there talking gibberish to the camera for about 5 minutes, I think it is, and you can literally just say anything. And it's when you upload that video, it's learning the inflections of your voice. It's learning your personality. Like I pop on my feet a lot like that while I talk, or I move my hands a lot. It learns those things about you, and it's going to try to learn how much is your mouth moving when you're saying certain words. What shape is your mouth doing? Then what you do is then from that point forward, instead of having to shoot a video every time, you just type, like on the left-hand side here, you just type in the script you want, and it's going to generate a video for you and it looks like you. Let me see if I need to look at my screen share option real quick. Okay, we didn't test computer audio before because I forgot. Oh, it won't let me share sound right now anyway, so we're not going to worry about it. I will show you how you can find a good example of this. But what it's going to do is make it so that one time you set up perfect lighting, you do your hair, do your makeup, do all the things to make it perfect. And then from there forward, if you need to just make a short video, you just type out the script and hit go. I've even done it in different languages like Chinese and Hindi and Russian, and I've given them to people that speak those languages, and they're like, it's dead on. Like it's very hard to tell it's not me talking. So let me show you. That's the example of mine, but I'm not going to try and mess with audio. This is a guy named Jock Rogers. He's in Jacksonville, Florida. He just started this Instagram account 2 months ago, and I was texting with him about it because he's for 10,000. I bet by today he's probably at 11,000 followers. Like, it's growing incredibly fast. And he has these videos, like on the right-hand side here, every video is the same. It's like 3 videos in captions, and that's it. And it's him in the lower right-hand corner talking. And then it took me a minute, and then I realized I was like, this isn't him talking. This is AI. And I asked him if he uses HeyGen. He said, yeah. And it looks so good that it's like, especially on a small screen when people are just flipping through Instagram, it's very hard to tell it's not him. And so he has put out, let's see, at the time of this screenshot, it was 126 posts. So basically 2 posts a day. All he has to do, because he took the time to set up like a good looking avatar like that, all he has to do is type out a script, make one freeze frame of the 3 images, and hit go. And that's all he has to do. And you can use HeyGen or ChatGPT to even write the script for you. So what normally might have taken like an hour or two, to set everything up, film the video, edit the video, do all this, I bet he's doing these in under 10 minutes now. Right. And so that's like a real example right now. And at the time I had screenshotted this, he had well over 1 million views on that account, over 10,000 followers, and he did it in 60 days. Like, it's pretty crazy. So if you go look up Jax with Josh on Instagram, you can see real examples of this. I do think he has a couple in there that aren't AI, but for the most part, they're AI. Okay, a different tool, Perplexity. This one is maybe my second favorite one of all of them, or at least the one I use the most, because think about like when you go to Google, right now and you type in, how do I run Facebook ads for real estate? Actually, I have an example in here. What did I try? Okay, I said, how is AI transforming real estate? If I did that in Google, it's going to give me a bunch of pages that relate to people talking about AI in real estate. And then I have to go through each one and kind of figure out what's the best one. But then it's like the conversation kind of ends. And I get off that website, I back up, I go back to Google, maybe I click another one, or maybe I have to start the search all over and ask a different question. What this does is it kind of crosses, if you have used ChatGPT before, it kind of crosses like a ChatGPT with Google. And ChatGPT can do this a little bit, but Perplexity does it really well, of being able to do a search. So I say, how's AI transforming real estate? And it gives me some references, it gives me some ideas. And this was a very like long response. But one of the things that it says on the left one was automation of routine tasks. And so then I said, okay, well, tell me more about taking over repetitive tasks. And so it's like Google, but I get to continue the conversation with it. Right. And so now it breaks it down even more and even, and especially if this isn't real estate related, but like I like barbecuing a lot, or like I got really into smoking meat this year. And so I'll go sit there and have a conversation with it and just kind of going back and forth and say, well, why am I doing it at this temperature and this much time and not this? And it's like Google, but we can have a two-way conversation. I the only reason I even use Google at this point is out of like I just pull up my computer and go to Google instead of Perplexity sometimes. But Perplexity really has become like my way for finding information about anything. And there's a few little tweaks you can do to it of like telling it only search social media or only search for videos, and it'll give you some different results. You can do some deep learning stuff. I don't even really get into that. I use it very basically. And this has been a huge game changer in like just day to day of things. Then we get into, again, I get you can't see this, you're not going to be able to read the screen. It's really more just to give you an idea of what the tool actually looks like. This is Notebook LM, which is, again, ChatGPT kind of does some of this, but you can do it a lot better with a specialized tool. In this case here, what we did was we uploaded all the disclosures from a property. So in our area, we do disclosures before we list, but in most areas, right, like you go get into escrow, the seller sends you all the disclosures. We can upload a whole bunch of documents and then do deep research into those documents. So like in this case, I just uploaded the entire disclosure package. And then I said, tell me about the septic system. And it starts basically going through all those different disclosures and starts to tell me everything about it. And I love that it has little reference points. Like it says the septic system was inspected for a sale October 7th, 2024. And then it gives me a link to document number 2 or whatever it was, right? So then I can go click on that and actually go find it. Because these AIs, they do sometimes make mistakes. It's called hallucination. So literally make up an answer. So you have to be a little careful with this. But you could go in here and then just say, like, tell me everything that's wrong with this property. Tell me what are the major red flags of this property. Now, you as a realtor, you probably already know them and you really probably should review the documents anyways. But especially like out here when we're doing a lot of pre-inspections, it's kind of nice to be able to drop them in there and just ask some basic questions or have it find the information for me. Out in California, you 2,000 pages of documents. So it's like to be able to go find those things for me. Or what I was saying with Brady Sandall before, or with those notes from Brady Sandall, if I upload all my notes into one area, like within Google Notebook LM, now I can start to ask Google Notebook, hey, what happened? What were the top 3 takeaways from Mega Camp of last year? And it'll break them down for me. Then you can get into a real weird thing. On the right-hand side there, you say generate podcast, and it generates an incredibly authentic sounding podcast where you can sit there and just uh, listen to whatever it comes up with about the documents that you uploaded. So again, uploaded a whole bunch of market data and then said, break it down for me. And I listened to a podcast about the Santa Cruz real estate market, and it came up with things we didn't upload at all. That it just knew because it's Santa Cruz. And, well, this is a tourist town. Of course, you're going to have a slowdown in June and blah, blah, blah. It was super interesting. But this just think of like deep levels of research where you load everything into the left and then ask questions in the middle. Um, that was just an example of it. Oh, another great example of a way to use this is like within Keller Williams, we say we use KPAs a lot, like if we're hiring somebody, or if you ever use the disc profile while trying to hire somebody, upload those into here, and then you can ask it questions about that person, and so like for agents, like if you have agents on your team, a great way would be have the team leader or KPAs before you know how to get the KPAs. Get the KPA for that agent, put it in there, ask it, what are the best lead generation sources for this personality? And it'll help come up with a plan, like a business plan for them based off of their personality. Pretty wild. And suddenly you are becoming more important than somebody just on YouTube telling them, you don't need to do open houses anymore. They're dead. But neat way to use Google LLM. Okay, so let's pause real quick. And how can you can you see how these tools, and we barely, I mean, I won't even say we touched the surface. It was such a light touch on the surface. But can you see how we can start to save 5 to 10 minutes per task, 10 to 15 times a day? And again, I'm not going to do the math, but that's a couple hours a day that suddenly we're saving just by using tools that all that was like under $100. And like I said, I'll break this down for you. But it's again, if we're even just talking about the most basic stuff, we start to save time. And as we start to develop the knowledge now, and now, even now going forward, next week, you might see something like, oh, Jason did say something about that. I'm going to stick in your brain a little bit, right? So you start to see how this will start to transform agents' businesses, not necessarily knock the agent out of it. It's going to make you more able to go service your clients at a higher level. And the one thing AI isn't ever going to do well, most likely, is service your clients at a higher level, right? So then you get to spend more time in front of them. Um, Big question I always get asked, if I can only have one, or where do you start? Chat GPT, specifically Chat GPT Plus. So there's 3 different versions. You have Chat GPT, the free version, which is great. Start there. If you've literally never dove into anything before, start there. And they change the features so often about like they're moving stuff out of the plus version and into the free version often. So people also ask, what's the benefit of Plus? I don't know. I just know it's $20 a month and it seems worth it. But the free version is a great place to start. There's a $200 a month version that I really don't think anyone here is ever going to need to use. Don't spend that much money. That's too much money. But we're really starting to see ChatGPT even integrate into everything else. Like there's a Canva plugin now where you can kind of ideate an idea in ChatGPT and it'll pull it up in Canva. So then you can go edit it from there. While I was creating this, I didn't know it has this now. I was taking note, or I was asking ChatGPT some questions. It popped up a little thing that's like, do you want to sync this to your Apple Notes? I was like, yes, I want to. And it pulled in my Apple Notes and then even answered, I had written out some questions in my Apple Notes, like just for myself later, and like answered the questions. It's crazy. This thing ties into everything. It's kind of your end all be all. It does everything image creation. It doesn't do any of the video stuff. That's when you get to specialized, like you're not going to do the video editing, but things other, like if you're into content creation, like create content calendars, what things, and you tell it, and we'll talk about how to talk to it better, but you tell it you're a real estate agent that works in Dallas, Texas, and these are the things that I want to talk about. Create me a content calendar, and it just comes up with scripts for you, all sorts of things. But in the kind of, this is literally what I use like every day. I pay for some others too, and I should probably stop. But if somebody said like, no, I need to know like exactly what to get, it's a Chat GPT Plus. It's $20 a month. Perplexity.ai, that's the Google search competitor. It's free. There's a paid version. I don't use it. I don't know. I've never like even explored paying for it, so I don't know. It does what I need for free. Opus Pro, that's the one for the video editing. That's $30 a month. And then Notebook LM is free with Google. I think you could do like any, even like free Gmail account. If not, it might have to be a Google Workspace account. I don't remember if the at kw.com accounts can use it. I kind of don't think they can. But it's free or very cheap. But I'm pretty sure it's free. And then other ones I use, like I use Loom. Like if you've ever used Loom to do video recordings, like screen recordings on your desktop, you can have it create SOPs and breakdowns of everything you do. Loom's a great one. Notion for note taking has AI built into it. Some Apple products and Google products have AI built into it. So like use it a lot, but those four are the ones that I use literally every day, or at least Notebook LM I don't use every day. Everything else I do. Let's see. Okay, so let's we're going to cruise through this. This is actually fairly quick. Shelby, you can share this to them later. Like I don't know if you share the slides, but you grab the link and send it to them. Because this one is a neat little guide for how to, it's called, oh man, I'm having a brain fart in the worst possible time. Prompt engineering. That's just fancy way for saying how to communicate, like GPT. We'll use ChatGPT as our main example of a chatbot like AI where we're just going back and forth with it. But if you think of chatbots, I like to call them the Pareto principle dream. It'll get you 80% of the way there. It's not going to, you're not going to type in one prompt and get this like perfect response back. I mean, sometimes you will, but most of the time it's going to get you 80% of the way there. And then you're going to have to tweak it. Like I said, the example of the office that I wanted to turn into a podcast studio, I did it very simply at first, and then I started tweaking and using kind of this prompt engineering mindset to ask it different questions to get it to do the thing that gave me an end result that I really wanted. And the simplest way to start on any of this is just to start asking questions into the chatbots. But the thing that we want to frame every question, and I'll walk through each of these real quick, but every prompt we're creating, we want to give it a task. We want to give it some context. We want to give it an exemplar or examples, a persona, and a format. So like if I just say the task is what can it help me with? I need 5 email subject lines. Great. It gave me 5 email subject lines, and they're probably good. Exclusive offer insight, save big on your next purchase. Last chance to register for our webinar on blank. It gave me like, do these help me in my real estate business? Nope. I didn't tell it I need help in my real estate business. I didn't tell it who I am. And then that's where we give it context. And I say, now I need 5 email subject lines. I am a real estate agent with a new listing that I want to notify my friends and family about. Now, all of a sudden, it gives me 5 better examples. Exciting news, new home listing in blank. Your exclusive first look sending home for sale, right? Like all of a sudden, it's like, now I know who you are. Now, ChatGPT is going to learn as it goes. It's going to, and you can use this whole format. You can use this in a lot of different ones. It doesn't have to be ChatGPT, but especially when you have an account with ChatGPT, and it'll start to learn different things about you. And sometimes you'll enter it and a little thing pops up. So it's like memory updated. Is that it remembers who you are, and it remembers you're a real estate agent in Jacksonville, Florida, and it remembers these things. So it'll start to make these a lot better for you, like right off the bat. Then we go into examples and say, I need 5 email subject lines. I'm a real estate agent. They should not include specifics of the house and use emojis for attention grabbing, right? I don't want to say it's a 3-bed, 2-bath for $400,000, right? I want it to say new listing alert. You won't believe this one. Hot property alert, right? So we're just giving it a little bit more context of what I want it to produce for me. Then we say the persona is who is the AI going to portray? So we say you're a chief marketing officer and an expert in email marketing. And so if we go back one slide, you can see the like line number 1, new listing alert, you won't believe this one. Change to new exclusive listing alert, expertly curated for you. Same concept, but now it's like somebody who's an expert in email marketing knows if I say curated for you, it's going to grab their attention, exclusivity. It grabbed their attention more, right? And so it created a little bit more detailed in there. Then we get into, how do I want to output? Maybe I don't want it looking like all of just here's some lines. Maybe I want it into a table. I don't know why I would do this, but I needed an example. But you can say, um, especially if I do a bigger list, I can say, give it to me in a CSV file, and it'll actually like pop up a little Excel file on there for me to grab. I can say, you can tell it so many different things of how we want it output. And then there's the tone. I just realized I didn't have this on the first slide, but then there's also tone, which is how do you want it to sound? And this is where you can get a little bit more fun and say, well, talk like a pirate. And all of a sudden it just changed all my subject lines. Shiver me timbers, ahoy landlubbers, right? But maybe a more specific way is to say, I need this to be very professional, right? Like that's one way to word something. I need it professional. I need it whimsical. I need it sarcastic. I actually use a lot because I talk sarcastically a lot. So I say I need it sarcastic. If I do this a lot. I'll write a really long email because I've got a lot of words in my brain. But if I'm sending it to real estate agents, I will say, please rewrite this for somebody with ADHD. And all of a sudden it rewrites it, and it will take like my 2 pages long and it'll make it a paragraph. I'm like, how does this possibly work? So then I'll send my 2-page long one and I'll get responses back like, I didn't read that, try again. Oh, okay, great. So you can tell it, how do you want it to sound? How do you want it to interact? And the pirate one is fun. I've done like The Simpsons and things like that, but that's just a fun one. So I want to highlight one last thing real quick of just a simple way to start, just ask it questions. So my wife used to be an MCA in a Keller Williams office, and she had a very complicated, she had 2 Excel data sheets, and they had completely different information on them. And she was about to pay someone like on Fiverr or something. That's a good example of people on Fiverr are going to be in trouble. She said, I'm going to pay someone on Fiverr to figure out this complicated system for me. And I said, well, have you just tried ChatGPT? And she was getting mad at me because at that time, everything was like, did you ask ChatGPT? Did you ask ChatGPT? She was like, no, I didn't. And she was like, I don't even know where to start. And I said, I'm not going to tell you. Just go figure it out. Like, I wanted to see what would happen. And so she sat down, logged into my account, and she sat down, and I just let her go. And she comes back, I want to say 15 minutes later, and she's like, oh my God, I solved the problem. And that, she at least solved Pareto principle. She had solved like 80% of the problem. And so then she sat down for like maybe an hour of going back and forth and asking it questions, and solved the entire problem. Ended up not having to hire a person to do the thing for her, which if she hired the person, she's going to have to probably get on Zoom and explain it all to him, or she's going to have to type it in an email. So instead, she did it into ChatGPT. But the reason I love sharing this story is I then went and looked at the chat log to see like how it worked. And the very first thing, she's like, hello. And I was like, hello. And she was like, I'm Brianna, how are you? And she like starts out talking to it like a human, and had this entire interaction. And our joke is always the whole thing about, you got to be nice to the AI, so when it takes over the world, it remembers like you were polite to it. But she literally just had like an innocent conversation with a robot who ended up helping her get to the end result. So that's why I say a simple way to start is just ask it questions. You could literally log into ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent in Dallas, Texas. What are the top 5 ways I can use ChatGPT in my business? And it'll tell you. And then you start having a conversation. And as weird as it will feel, the more you just treat it like a person that you're talking to, the easier it's going to be. And it feels really weird at first. And like, my wife literally calls hers chat. She's like, well, I was talking to chat the other day. I was like, oh my God, here we go. But she's not wrong that she treats it like her assistant and she gets results like an assistant. So that is all I've got on this whole subject. Um, if you've got thoughts or questions, you can drop them in the chat. Or come find me on social. I like Instagram. That's my favorite one. So come find me on Instagram specifically. But so I got Shelby. Oh, I do have, if people are dropping in the chats. If not, Shelby, here's your slide about Fritz.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. You guys, if you have any question, be getting ready for that. Fritz is our next speaker, and he was just on here. I thought he was going to be able to stay to the end, and he had to pop off.
I'm here.
So
I'm
he's
here.
go.
Oh,
Oh
there he
wait, you're
is.
there. There you are. Do you want to give your own promo, or do you want me to?
Well, listen, I'll just share quickly, Jason. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We all need to get
Welcome.
more proficient in the topic of AI. And actually, you've given me a little bit of a twist here in a couple of weeks because I'm going to share a little bit of an AI twist on the art and science of pricing.
Nice.
Just quick feedback. You will literally walk away with the 7 market stats to become the local market expert. Gary has shared that with us for years. We need to get a little better in the analysis of our markets to get our listings priced right, to get them sold so you get paid. We're going to put the Jason Flynn spin on it and use AI to help us interpret those stats. But I've been teaching a course similar to this for years, and you don't need it when the market's hot. You need it when the market's where it is right now and our commissions are locked up in overpriced listings. We're going to talk about scripts to get price reductions, the data to get price reductions, and the mindset and approach to get the reductions that we need. So that's a little tidbit about 2 weeks from now on the 28th. And I can't wait to share it all with you.
Fantastic. That's much better than I would have done. Thank you, Fritz.
I've been like, there's a code to scan. He'll tell you more. Be there.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Jason? We will be sharing this recording. I'll hopefully have it turned back around to you guys by end of day tomorrow. But it'll be posted on our YouTube channel. If you're a Go agent, it'll be on NovaLink, and then we'll also email it out as well.
Awesome.
If no
Thank you,
one has any
Jason.
questions, we'll let you go. Thank you
Just
so
one
much,
question.
Jason.
Oh,
Just
Oh, wait.
one question for Jason. Is it are all the things you're doing, are they on the phone as well as the laptop, or how are you typically using it?
yeah. Someone asked, there you go, Jason the Flynn. Every chat GPT, I mean, I do it on my desktop a lot, but there's a great app as well. Perplexity has a great app. Opus Clip, no app. Opus Clip is like all on the desktop, and it's all through like a website. Like you just go to, I think it's Opus Pro, I think is what it's actually called.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say most of them, especially the chat-based ones, have apps. And I mean, I heard this actually, it was a few years ago I went to like a Tom Ferry one, and one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard the guy say was put it on your phone, right? Like that, you should just have it. Like my bottom two, like, cause that's the closest where my finger is, the bottom right, it's Chat GPT and Perplexity. And
Nice.
then that way it really does just become a everyday part of your thing. Same with if the newer iPhones have the third button on them on the right. I forget, it's called action button, I think. For a while I had that programmed to Chat GPT. You can go into a whole different world too. I did one where I did scripts with it. And the script, the objection handlers or the objections it gave me, I had never, you don't get that. Go into your office and everyone kind of does the same. No, I'm not interested in selling. Are you sure? Okay, yeah, we can meet. No, this was like, this is my objection, and it had to do with interest rates and insurance. It's like, how did it know that? Like,
Yeah.
because it's
No,
creepy.
that's cool. No, appreciate
But
it.
yeah,
Thanks a lot.
cool. All right, Shelby.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll let you.